the same person.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live. Boy, do we have a treat today.
Treat, that's the word.
Yes. It is the Smedley boys joining us. Woo, woo! Michael and Mitchell, we talk about the Smedley boys all of the time. And now you are welcome, Brilliantly Resilient family. We are bringing them to you so that they can share their brilliantly resilient selves with you. And I am so excited. And of course, their mom, who is my buddy, my partner.
Oh, yeah. That's just me.
Forgot about her. We forgot about her, but she's here too. So welcome, Michael and Mitchell Smedley. I cannot tell you what a delight it is to have you on this show. You both, I love you dearly. You both crack me up. You're hilarious. And you're just as annoying as my sighted children. So there's also that.
Wow.
Wow, you're really hyping.
I was going to say it's great to see you again, but
but then there was that.
Lovely introduction.
So I really have to just put this out there from the get-go, because prior to you two, I really didn't know any blind people. I mean, I've encountered blind people, but I really just didn't know them, didn't have a relationship with them. And you guys are so funny and you're so delightful, and I'm constantly amazed at what you have been able to achieve in a world that, let's be honest, just marginalizes you guys. And you are not standing for it, not for a minute, and you're determined and you're going to do what you want to do. And honestly, you're an inspiration to everybody, even me. And that's might be the last really nice thing I say during this to you guys, but I want you to know that's how I really feel.
Well, thank you. And that's being recorded, so we can just keep playing that part back.
over and over again. So I really want to get into a lot of things, but I want you, I want to kind of get your take on your own version of being resilient and brilliant and what that means to you. And of course, we need to talk about how your mom has helped you guys along the way here. And I know she's got stories she wants to share. And I just also want you to be yourselves. I know your mom was giving you instructions prior.
Within reason.
Prior to the broadcast.
Show.
So, whoever wants to jump in here, and I just should tell everybody, if you're hearing this on the podcast, the boys are in separate rooms so that they cannot strangle each other during this.
Not strangle him. It's all him.
And Mitchell's right next to me.
Mitchell's right next to Kristin.
Unplug his mic at any point.
For anybody who can't see this. So boys, either one of you, the floor is open. I want to hear your stories in your words. And crickets.
Go ahead, Michael.
Go ahead, Michael. You're the oldest. You get first dibs.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, so the whole being resilient thing, I don't know, it's something that I had never really thought about until other people had started bringing it up, because for me, it's just how I do things. And, a lot of the ways that I do things look slightly different from sighted people my age. Going through school, I went in an hour early every day in elementary school to learn Braille and to learn how to use screen readers on laptops so that I could access all the materials that I needed once we were in the regular classroom. And to me, that's just how it was. And it wasn't necessarily, in my mind, this whole resilience thing and getting ahead of challenges and trying to beat them before they really came up. And someone had brought that up to me later, and as I got older, and it was a very interesting perspective shift, because for me on the inside, it was just how life is.
Yeah. And that, to me, when I think about you guys, we talk about this resilient stuff, and as you know, it's been a huge thing in the world since the COVID stuff, and people talk about it like it's this amazing new concept. And I look at you two, and it's like, this has been your life every single day for forever.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thing. That's what we talk about. Actually, when I talk about folks, the unemployment rate of the blind community, as I've said before, is 70%. People are afraid to hire blind people. They think that, I don't know what they can do, and is it going to be expensive and all. And I'm like, you guys, blind folks they figure things out sometimes on a minute by minute basis. I mean, Michael, share the story, and then we will get into your stuff, Mitch, but share the story of the first time when you were coming home from Penn State you took a bus
Greyhound, I think.
to a train or something, and
Oh,
then the guy
yeah.
wouldn't get off to help. Tell that story real briefly to
Oh,
show
gosh.
people about resilience minute by minute.
Yeah, so I went to visit somebody at Penn State before I had started attending there. And of course, there's no easy way to get home from Penn State because why would there be? It'd be too easy. So I ended up, the only way that worked for my schedule, taking a bus that was a 20-minute walk from where I was staying, taking a bus into Harrisburg, where I had never really learned the city, done public transit in that city, got off of the bus with the bus driver supposed to be able to take you right. There's a spiral staircase that goes right up to the train station, and he wasn't having it that day. So I have an app that it's like a one-way FaceTime where it connects you to somebody on the other end who's sitting at like a little command center, and they can see your camera feed. They can pull up maps and buildings around you and all that kind of fun stuff. So I was able to just pull that out after I got my suitcase off the bottom of the bus, went upstairs, checked in with the train. Amtrak was supposed to have somebody meet me at the check-in desk and take me to the track. That didn't happen. So ended up using that app again to get through that train station to my platform. And of course, the bus had been late, so I missed the train I was supposed to take and had to wait like an hour and a half for the next one to come in.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. And you know, I can't.
Things that he does all the time and figure, like, it's that whole, Marie Forleo's figure outable. They just figure stuff out, because otherwise they'd be sitting doing nothing.
Well, and on a level, though, that would have the rest of us just curled up in the corner in a ball crying. I mean, really.
The other thing that I had never even thought about, let alone just being blind, I was 18 at the time when I started college in Nashville, and I was flying back and forth on my own. And I have friends to this day that have only been on a plane a couple of times, and some of them are still terrified to fly alone. And that was just what I did.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you guys, I mean, for you guys, every day is figuring something out. And I mean, your mom and I have had this discussion before. We sighted people are sometimes at a great disadvantage that you guys are not at, because we see things and we allow what we are seeing to stop us. And you don't have that barrier. And Mitch, I know you don't have any barriers.
Well, yeah, not especially not in the way I speak. So
Yeah, I know that.
you push me out of the frame every once
You've
in
got
a
a
while,
barrier
and
sitting right next to you.
I'll just have to overcome that obstacle.
So Mitch, I want to hear some of your stories. I mean, I am constantly in awe of you boys and how you just, like, nothing stops you. You're just going to do what you got to do, and that's the end of that.
Well, Michael kind of glazed over it, but I'll go into more depth. Is the he said we have to go in an hour early, like in elementary school and everything. The amount of resilience a third grader needs to get up an hour earlier than sighted counterparts every day.
For those of you who cannot see Michael making faces and rolling his eyes at his brother.
He has a signature eye roll. There's one specific corner
Yep.
that they get stuck in when Mitchell opens it.
Tell me about your third grade challenges, Mitchell. You keep going, baby.
Please, the amount of resilience.
No, that's
Get the violins out.
That's the difference between me and Michael. Is we would, like, there were some years we would get on the bus together because we were in the same school, and there would be him, Michael's ready for another day of learning and fun, and then there's me. I want to still be sleeping, and that continues to this day. I don't get up before 11 usually.
Yeah, like today. Well, you know what? I do have to point out that when we talk in being brilliantly resilient, one of the biggest things that adults struggle with that Mitchell perfected in kindergarten, people. We struggle with raising our hand and asking for help. Kindergarten. Mitchell mastered.
And Mitchell, please tell people your philosophy, because it frankly is hilarious. I want to hear you say it.
My philosophy? Oh, what I told you before the show?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's an honor.
Oh, yes, it is. It is an honor to serve me.
All of the work in being independent and all of the time that I have spent and teachers have spent and aides have spent in making these boys independent so they can go after their dreams. And in kindergarten, Mitchell started employing a staff behind the scenes of kindergarten kids.
They just really wanted to help the blind kid.
Yeah, talk about the staff that you had.
Why would you take that away from them? I had, all right, so there were,
Why would you take that away from them?
they loved it. they've lived 6 years on the planet. That was the best thing they could figure out what to do with their time.
Tell them about you.
Set them away from it. I had about, was it like 3 or 4?
It was an entourage.
Yeah, it was a bunch of
Just name a few.
kindergarten girls. And, you know, I had one girl getting my clipboard, you know, when we would do activities. One girl was my marker person if a marker would fall or if we had to go up to the front of the room to get them. And, yeah. And
Oh,
my mom didn't,
gosh.
you know, she takes the fun out of everything. But, no, but I brought it back in 10th grade in my social studies classroom.
Because I don't go into high school. So then he was like,
That's
oh.
wonderful. Yeah.
I can do this again.
I had a great American history teacher who had like, her room was full of bean bags and blankets. It was the comfiest classroom I've ever been in, right?
It's ridiculous.
And I had just perfected my learning space, right? I was so comfy. And, but I had forgotten to get a blanket, right?
Oh my God.
Okay, and this is right before she's about to start teaching, and everyone's kind of quiet but still talking. So I go a little louder than a normal voice. Could anyone please get the poor blind kid a blanket?
Oh, it's so wrong.
Dying 1,000 deaths over here listening to this. I can just imagine in his head, like, oh my God, he does this stuff all the time.
I was spitting nails when I heard the story.
The teacher was great. She loved me, but that was when she had it. She's like, no. And then she saw a kid start to get, no, Blake, don't do it. And then he got it for me.
It's just like, why would you deprive him of the joy of serving me?
That was his good deed of the day.
Oh my
Make
God.
the world a better place.
No, we do not.
Michael's got to say something here. He's ready to burst.
I think there's a hole in my tongue from biting it.
We do not.
I see the blood coming down either side of your mouth. I see it.
Be dependent like that. But it's interesting because everybody thinks that, oh, you have 2 blind sons. They must be exactly the same. Nope. And I always say at the end of the day, they are both exhausted. Michael from doing everything independently and doing 957 things and then goes to bed, you know, rewarded and exhausted. And then there's Mitch, perfectly relaxed, usually having other people do things for him. Oh, I will say when Mitch is in, he is all in.
I've been making my own chicken for about a whole year now. How about that?
Whoa. Congratulations. And I know you're big on waffles and goldfish too. I've seen the pantry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so both of you guys, which is also amazing, you know, you are so far ahead of just a lot of kids your age, a lot of people in general, of just because of your having to figure it out spirit of doing things and starting things. I mean, Michael, you just started a podcast. Mitchell, I've seen you do like weather broadcasts. I mean, you're just amazing. So I want to hear from both of you how you approach projects like that and what, you know, like was this just something as far as the podcast, Michael, and as far as the, you know, the weather stuff and all that, is this something that, you know, you kind of see for your future and, oh, this is part of my career and what I want to work at? Or is this just hey, this sounds like something really cool. I'm going to try it and see where it goes.
Yeah, I have this horrible thing of anytime there's a good idea and someone says we should do this, it's yes. So my friend Kyle that I'm hosting the podcast with, we have fantastic friends when we'll talk and we solve the world's problems at 11 o'clock at night while we're playing Madden. It's fantastic. And we were like, oh, we should just start recording our phone calls. And then it morphed into this whole podcast thing. And now it's 17 projects later that I have to balance this weekend.
You know what the beauty of that, though, is your mother and I say this all the time. We do things and you have to not be married to what the outcome is. And I feel like you guys are particularly good at that because you just don't know how things are going to turn out for you. So you start them and you just see where it goes. And because you're so skilled at resilience, you're very well able to roll with the punches.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Michael woke up, or he woke up hours before me, but I came down to the kitchen this morning. And he was like, all right, we go on at 11, right? For this wonderful show that you brought us on today. And I was like, yeah, I know. I got up at 10 a.m. for this, right? I planned out my whole day for this, right? But he didn't know that. He goes, oh, man, I have so much to do. I'm like, it's summer. What do you have to do? He starts listing all the projects he has to get done that day. I'm like, wow, I had to hype myself up for 24 hours just for this podcast. But I'll have you know, I'm killing it right now. So. There's
Yeah.
things.
You are, Mitch. You both are in your own unique ways. And I, honest to God, you are such a dichotomy. You are the yin and yang of personalities, and it's just delightful. So
yeah.
Mitch, tell me about your forays into the weather world and videoing and all. Your weather broadcasts are so fun.
Well, yeah, obvious. Everything I do is fun because I am a fun machine.
Ladies and gentlemen, we stopped working on his confidence about 4 years ago. Check the box. Mitchell has confidence.
Yeah.
All done. Go
The
on.
weather thing, that was something I think since like pretty much birth, I was always into weather. Like, and whenever I get the chance to do a weather broadcast, or whenever, she goes, "Oh my God, it's snowing, do a weather forecast." I'm like, okay, like that's kind of crazy, but I guess we'll see where it goes. But like people really enjoyed them. And it was just like, I wasn't doing it for the people's enjoyment. I mean, that sounds kind of mean, but I was just doing it for me, as selfish as it sounds, because that's something I always wanted to like make my career, until I learned that meteorologists need 4 years of calculus.
Oh dear God, I can imagine you're not into that.
Yeah, that dream fell apart.
See, I'm stressed over here because none of my 3 degrees require any more calc than I took in high school, and I'm kind of mad about it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So I really still want, this face belongs on TV. So I think I'm going to go into some sort of like broadcast journalism or something of the sort. And if I can add weather into that, great. But I like, especially in the last few months, watching, like, because a lot of people say don't watch the news, it's bad for you. That's true. I love watching the news, right? So I have been glued to and I try to flip around the channels. I don't stay on one specific channel all the time. But I have been loving like the news cycle that's been going and just how crazy it is. And I totally want to be a part of that as a career.
Well, I just find the fact that you both jump into stuff and you see where it goes. That's something that everybody should be doing. And you guys have, again, had to just do it since birth, because really, I mean, when you get right down to it, nobody knows how things are going to turn out. But you guys really don't know how things are going to turn out for you. And it's just such a lesson for everyone to hear from 2 guys who have had to literally every moment of your lives figure things out in ways that we sighted people have not, how you just make this such a natural part of your life experience. And it's like no big deal. It's just, okay, this is what we got to do. So you just do it. And I admire that greatly.
Yeah. I will say too that we talk in our Brilliantly Resilient stuff about you gather the tools that you need to when you've got to get through something, or when you need to do the rise, or you uncover your brilliance and then you want to go try something and you have to gather tools. Well, these guys, like Mitch said, so wonderfully happy about it, we're gathering tools a long time ago, and we had to invest a ton of time and effort into those preschool, elementary school years. It was, I mean, for those that are listening that have a blind child or a child that learns any differently than anybody else or just has some issues, it's exhausting. So I don't want to glaze over that too much. It was exhausting. And these guys did go an hour before school every day.
I didn't
all
know
the way
that.
to middle school.
Brutal.
So that they could have all those tools, perfect them, and go into that classroom and never get pulled out, so that it was a regular social situation. They did everything everybody else did, but a lot of work goes in on the front end for me to sit back with my feet up now and laugh and watch everything that they do. But when you have those tools and you have everything you need to figure it out, it makes it figure outable. I mean, you can't just go into the world with losing your sight or losing something, or you get hit by the sucker punch and then you're just going to stand back up and go. Remember, who was it? Nicole, that said you might be stunned for a while. And we all were stunned for a while and had to grab the braille and the white cane and all that. So then they can go out there and use those tools.
Yeah, I don't do that.
Mitchell tends to drag the cane.
Use other people as tools.
Like, Mrs. Baldwin, my TVI, has
teacher of the visually impaired, for those that don't know.
Yeah, I'm just spitting out acronyms here at you, like but she got the security guard at my high school, because the security guard was like, he's not using his cane. What do I do? This is ridiculous, right? So Mrs. Baldwin is she labels herself the Italian mother,
There you
and
go.
she'll just yell across the hallway at me to use the cane or whatever. And she got the security guard to do it too. So now I have, two people, either ends of the school. And I'd say it upped my cane usage about 10%. But
because he has the school memorized,
have the
and
whole thing
everyone
memorized.
gets out of his way.
Oh, that's the best part about it. High school kids, like, in some ways are gravitated toward it, but in some ways flee from the cane. If I'm just walking down a hallway, I'll have there's been times where I feel like I've started an Uber service getting people from one end of a building to another, because people just part the Red Sea, right? Yeah,
and everybody jumps on the boat.
I'm not saying I'm Moses or anything, but
because you're not.
But you would take that if somebody said it. You would hang on to that. Yeah. So Michael, one of the things that amazed me about you, and of course drives most parents crazy, is that you had a great year at one college that your mother, mapped out for you and all that, and then decided, I don't want to go there anymore, and then picked an even bigger school to go to. So you went from Tennessee to Penn State, which drives the best of us crazy, and yet you went ahead and did it, and you managed a year at Penn State, a year or 2 years,
Well, it's supposedly a year, and then COVID.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Michael. Sorry.
It's fine.
But so most kids, most young people, there's a measure of an element of fear that goes along with a major change like that. What was your thought process? It just wasn't a fit for you, right? The other place?
Yeah, so I did it backwards. I went from the teeny tiny school to the biggest one I could find, and a lot of people downsize, and it was just one of those things that I made the mistake when I was senior year of high school looking at colleges. I looked specifically at programs, and the music business program that I got into at Belmont is the #1 program in the world for that. Mm-hmm. So I said, of course I'm going to go there, and never really looked at the university life as a whole. Mm-hmm. And it is a phenomenal school, and it was had a lot of incredible people there, and it was so much fun being there. But some of the stuff that's important to me, they didn't have a pool on campus, and I'm a swimmer. I grew up swimming every summer, and that's one of my favorite ways to work out. They didn't have a college football team, which was what I've been looking forward to for going to college for years. So it was kind of this balance that I don't think I weighed properly, that I was so focused on getting into the best program in the world for what I wanted to go for that I didn't really take a second to think about that it's college and there are more things than classes.
Well, you know what? Good for you, because again, that's another part of being brilliantly resilient. We can't compartmentalize our lives. It doesn't work. I mean, you can compartmentalize them to recognize what those pieces are, but you ultimately have to put them together in a whole, or it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? I was so proud of after I got over the initial shock.
There were 3 screaming car rides where I believe it ended with Belmont was wasted on you. It is gorgeous. There are marble staircases and you can't even see them.
I'm like, why am I here? This is gorgeous. I'm like describing the marble. He's like, I don't care. It's the program I'm here for. I'm like, whatever.
I remember the day.
I have a few charming moments when I'm a mom. But anyway, I will say this. The saving grace was we went downsized in tuition, so that was helpful.
That's a plus.
We weren't at a private school tuition anymore, so I'm like, okay, maybe I can open my mind.
She got over it. In other words, when her bank account looked better, she got over it.
Yep, that was instantaneous. I was like, okay, can we get some Penn State gear now, because I'm all in.
And now
we're sitting at the program.
Second student, that's a discount.
Yeah,
there you go.
Let's everybody go there. But I will say,
go ahead,
Michael.
Wait, let Michael. He's got something to jump in. Go.
We were sitting at the program pitch, and this morning we had driven out there, and it was, you don't need to move. You're fine where you are. She falls in love with the program. She's like crying in the row behind me in the auditorium as they're pitching job placement percentages, graduation rates. And then they go, and for the sound design program, mind you, we're at the second to last interview date and they're on rolling admissions. We're looking for 2. And she grabs me from behind. She goes, I will kill you.
2 people. They were only taking 2 in the world to get into this program. And I just spent time. I spent money on his flight. I drove him all the way up there. The kids were back home with my parents. And I'm like, what does it matter with you? What does it matter with you? Two
To give me a
people,
really good pep talk before I went into the interview.
he was going in for the interview, and I was saying all that, and he's like, thanks, I have to go interview now. I go, don't mess it up.
The end result of this is?
We are.
Yeah! Woo! Arms up in the air. That was me, the arms up in the air part. Woo!
So I think that probably everybody watching and listening, their next question is, wait a minute, that Michael, how many square miles is that campus?
2 square miles plus a little bit of off-campus stuff.
And how many people? 30,000 students?
46,000 students.
Ooh.
Okay. How exactly did we go from that tiny little campus where I was having a heart attack that we won't talk about at Belmont, but then you do that campus? Tell folks how that unfolded so they don't think that I just drop you off on major campuses and
Hey, here you go. Figure it out, kid.
yeah.
One of the nice things about coming back in state was, since I'm a Pennsylvania resident going to a Pennsylvania school, it's a lot easier to get services like an orientation mobility instructor. So we went up and I moved in like 3 or 4 days before everyone else, and we had rented a hotel for a couple of days before that, and I met with mobility instructors every day that week for it was a 9-to-5 job for a week straight of getting oriented to Penn State, and that was only a fraction of it. So we walked routes from my dorm to my classes, and then I didn't want to make the same mistake that I made last time. I was extremely confident getting from my dorm to my classes, and then we expanded to go find places like the Hub, which is our giant student center where they have food courts, movie theaters, and then the Creamery, the ice cream place on campus, and finding all the giant social icons of campus from my dorm. And the nice thing that helped about that was the campus is kind of cut off into quadrants. So a lot of my classes happen to be in one spot. So if I'm going somewhere new, and if I'm trying to figure out, it's, you go down to this place that I know where that is, and then it's a right and a couple of lefts before you get to the next place that I know where that is. So I can kind of get myself in the vicinity.
Well,
It was quite a week.
I got to tell you guys, again, you are inspirational. Before we wind this up, because quite frankly, I could sit and talk to you all day long, but I'm sure Mitch has laying down that he has to do. So I don't want to interfere with that. But I do want to talk about, ahead of this all, where you guys, I want you to talk to people about hiring visually impaired people and what you see as your future. And, I look at you and I look at what you've accomplished and I look at the way you solve problems. And I want to hear how you would present yourselves to that world.
So for me, I know that after graduation, I want to go into live sound touring for arena bands and mixed bands and arenas and all that stuff for a few years, and then go to law school for entertainment law. And they seem completely different, but in my mind, they are very similar industries in that all about listening and all about making arguments or figuring out the best way to solve a problem very quickly. So that's two things that I've been doing my entire life, getting around, figuring out how to accommodate things. So, and my ears are pretty decent, not going to lie, but they're pretty good. So something like a tour environment is very stressful, that you have your tour on your buses and your trucks. And if something goes wrong when you're loading into an arena, you don't have 3 days to figure it out. You have a concert that starts in 3 hours. So being able to solve problems efficiently and quickly on your feet is something that's extremely key to that industry. And then moving into being an attorney later in life, the entire job revolves around formulating arguments and listening to what other people say in the courtroom and picking them apart.
And I guess your experience with Mitch will help with that.
Oh, for sure.
Well, he's got to up his game if he wants to be a lawyer. I wiped the floor with him in every argument we've ever had.
Oh, wow.
And this is the reason they're in separate rooms, folks, right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, a mom knows. A mom knows.
So, well, first of all, Michael, well said. And hey, if I had a band in an arena, I'd hire you. But I'm just saying, we'll put that out there. I'll make my contacts. I'll put in a good word with all the people who run bands and arenas that I know. You might need to work on that a little bit. So, Mitch, just in case you cannot find a staff to serve you right after school.
It's a scary
What
thought.
I know, I'm sure you'll manage. I'm sure you'll manage to cobble something together. But what's your thought about where you're going?
I I've really only started thinking about it heavily in the past couple months, but I really like I said earlier, I really want to get into the broadcasting industry, like especially the news or something something similar. Like my dream is to be like an Anderson Cooper, Tucker Carlson, have like a 1 hour primetime show.
Oh,
That's everything I want to talk about.
the FCC fines are going to happen. You better make a lot of money.
I better hire Michael as my lawyer.
Oh my gosh, the Smedley empire continues. I totally love it.
So that's the ultimate dream. How I'm gonna get there, I'm gonna figure out where I'm gonna go to college. I don't want to go too far away from my staff here. I'm thinking the furthest I would go is like the Carolinas, somewhere warm. They live their lives a little slower down there. That's kind of my speed. But
Michael still he's over there shaking his head like sweet Jesus.
Yeah, because he's up in the hustle and bustle of University City or whatever they call it up there. He's got 105,000 people every Sunday. So yeah, that I kind of want to really work my way up through a news organization, figure out what I'm good at, what type of journalism I'm good at, whether that's writing columns or giving my opinion on the talking heads of television.
I have a feeling that's where it's going to end up. That's where it's going to land, Mitch. Just my 2 cents.
Got to report the facts and then build an opinion off the facts. I might jump the gun a little bit and just give an opinion, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh my God. Well, you guys are.
You can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
You guys are such a delight, and again, I have been inspired every time I encounter you because of your resilience and your brilliance, and you're both just hilariously funny, and you're cute as can be. So, Mom, any last words to end this amazing episode?
Yeah, you created us.
Yeah.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, you did this, so you wind this up.
So here's the thing. I mean, I'm sitting here smiling because I am so proud of all the stuff that these guys have done, and they take things on, and I've learned so much from them about being resilient and not crawling up in a ball when things don't go well. But I want to also honor everybody that's at the beginning of a journey like this, and it did not look like this. There wasn't all of this smiling and all of that because the world did not have a good perception of blindness. And that's why I work every single day to change that. So for everybody that's at the beginning of their sucker punch, it does look bleak and horrible and devastating until I would say go find the stories of people that have been in your muck, because that was the first thing that pulled me out. And then, like I said, find the tools and resources, surround yourself with an incredible tribe, and keep plugging along. And there were times, I mean, there were still sucker punches that I have to reframe my mind if they can't do something. I often have to say, am I upset because they can't do it because of blindness, or am I upset they can't do it because of something else? And when it's blindness, it is what it is. And then, like they can't drive. Okay. So there's Uber and Lyft. There are some things that are still little sucker punches. But like Mary Fran says, you don't live there, you're just visiting, and you move on. And looking at their futures that are ahead, I mean, just looking back at the journey, I can't believe how different it is from my plans. Thank God, because my plans were so small compared to what they've done. And looking ahead, we were just talking about it at the dinner table the other night. I'm trying to design a life that I can go follow and be in I better have front row seats in those tours, by the way, at those concerts.
Talk later.
And be in the recording studio of Mitch's show and all that, and follow our Carissa around for her games and everything. So where I thought I was going to be at this point in my life 20 years ago is nowhere near where I am at this point in my life. And it could not be more extraordinary and brilliant. So hang in there if you're in a sucker punch. And if you're in the rise, enjoy it and find all the tools and resources that you need. And we should probably end with where Michael, your podcast that you have coming up. I didn't want to forget about it.
And I also want you to mention your concerts, because they've been amazing through the whole COVID thing. Thank you for that.
So my buddy Kyle Shear started a podcast called Jigsaw Politics, and we're in the middle of editing the first episode in the trailer right now, and that should be hitting all the major markets: Apple, iHeart, Spotify, Google, and a few other smaller ones next week. And then I host every Sunday night, 7 Eastern, a 35 minute live from quarantine concert, and you can find that on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Mitchell Smedley Music.
There you go.
And I also want to throw some kudos to your sister, who is not here at the moment.
She's
I need to
fantastic.
throw a few kudos to your sister Carissa, who is camera shy. First of all, is not thrilled about the idea of being on podcasts and stuff like that and shows, but she's amazing too. And I know she's been a help to you guys. And one of the things that's wonderful about her is that she doesn't see barriers the way other people see barriers. And I think that's been in part because she's kind of watched you guys overcome and helped you guys overcome things. So as far as a family, you are all truly brilliantly resilient. And finally, Michael, thank you for giving us the intro and outro to our show and podcast. And I'm still not paying you, so you're just going to have to deal with it when you get your law degree. I'll see you in about 15 years. Talk to me then.
Sounds good.
We didn't even roll credits with his name. We just put him on there.
We just put him on there. All right, guys. Thanks
for having us on.
So much.
Thanks for joining us. This has been delight. Everybody, this is these guys are some of the reasons that being brilliantly resilient are so important to us. So we hope you enjoyed this show. Reach out to them. They're delightful, fun, amazing guys with an amazing mom that I am very honored and privileged to do this show with. So we will see you all soon for another episode of Brilliantly Resilient Live, and thanks for joining us. Bye, everybody.
See you later, guys.
Blanket.